Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grounded Health and Wellness. My name is Kate, and today I wanted to give you some tips for travel. So, whether or not that is air travel, if you're traveling by car, by train, whatever, these are some tried and true tested tips that I use, my family uses, and we find that it tends to be really helpful in keeping the body grounded, the mind grounded by implementing kind of a duality of practices between Ayurvedic tips and also circadian biology. So I'm going to get right into it. So the day before you leave for your vacation, I recommend taking a beautiful oil massage. Depending on what your constitution is, like I tend to run Pitta Vata, so I need a little bit more of a cooling oil, so maybe coconut oil. If you have a cooler constitution, you're going to lean towards a heavier oil like sesame oil or maybe almond oil. But you're giving yourself this beautiful massage head to toe with the oil, and then you're going to hop into the shower or the bath. You're not going to use soap to remove this oil. You're just going to kind of rub the oil into the skin with the water and allow it to kind of penetrate into the tissues. So the beautiful thing about this is when the oil penetrates through the skin, it actually travels into all our lymph, reaches even the bones. So it gives us this real sense of grounding, regardless of what's going on with the busy mind or the stress around travel. And especially if you're going in an airplane, air travel, you think about all the elements of Vata with that air and ether. We are at the epitome of imbalance when we are in air travel because we are traveling fast through the air and it's really aggravating to that dosha. If you have no idea what I'm talking about in regards to dosha and vata, you can book a free discovery call with me to learn a little bit more about the different doshas in Ayurveda and perhaps maybe which ones run true for you or maybe where you have imbalances. But assuming for the rest moving forward, we're just going to assume that everybody's on the same page as far as understanding when I'm talking about vata. All right, so night before we're having this beautiful oil massage. In Sanskrit and Ayurveda, it's called Abhyanga. So you go to bed the next morning, if you're rushing to get ready to travel, you have this beautiful softness to your skin. You feel kind of like this sense of almost being kind of hugged through the whole day because you've got the oil working and keeping the body and the tissues and the mind feeling really grounded. So even the act of that touching of the skin as you're giving yourself the massage, it's releasing all of our important chemicals in the brain like dopamine and serotonin, these feel-good hormones. So it's kind of setting a beautiful foundation for us before we enter kind of the tyrannical pace of travel. So that's what you're going to do. If you choose to shower in the morning again, you would just do kind of a quick oil massage before you hop into the shower. I always like it the night before because I have more time and I'm not rushing and I can make it more of kind of a ritual for myself without children and organizing a dog and getting people out of the house before we have to go travel somewhere. So it's a little bit more restorative that way. All right, so the next thing is you want to pack a empty thermos in your carry-on. So as you know, with air travel, you cannot take liquids through security. So I always pack a closed thermos that has kind of a screw lid empty, and I just put it in my carry-on bag. As soon as you get through security and you're on the other side, or if you're traveling somewhere that you're not passing through security, you can find a coffee shop. And most of the time, if you ask the people working there, they will fill up your thermos with hot water. The reason why hot water is important is, again, we're supporting the body in staying grounded through travel. If you are going to pack your own teas, maybe throw a couple in your carry-on, then you can also make your tea on the go. You've got the hot thermos. I prefer to get all my water sorted out before I get on the airplane because just based on the quality of water that they have on the aircraft, I would much rather see if I can control that to the best of my ability before I'm getting on the plane. So sipping on warm water, whether or not it's tea or just warm water, it's more absorbable, easily absorbed to the body when it's warm because it's matching that level in our own digestive system as far as being warm. So the body doesn't have to work at all to heat that up. It's calming to the system as well, and it really helps your digestive system. So if you tend to have nervous tummy or travel does upset your digestion, the warm water is a beautiful hack to carry forward. And then you also have your thermos with you in your travels after you get to your destination, and it's always better to use that than any other kind of cups that might have plastic coating, and you don't have to worry about any of that. All right, so the other thing on the airplane is I always pack my own snacks. All of the snacks that are offered in air travel, like nuts and crackers and chips and crunchy things, these are all vata aggravating. So we don't want to aggravate vata. We're already in a environment that is going to throw that energy out of balance. So I'm packing things that have a little bit more nourishment. Maybe I'm baking some muffins before we go and I'm throwing them in a bag because they transfer really well. With that hot water thermos, you can also pack, if you have any kind of instant cereal and you want to just eat that on the airplane, you just add your water, ask them for a bowl, and you've got some other access to warm, nourishing options instead of the dry, crunchy, salty, fat aggravating airplane snacks. All right. So the other thing is when I enter the airport, I am putting on my yellow lens blue blockers, and those do not come off until I arrive at my destination and I'm able to go straight outside to remove them. This is blocking all of the blue light on the airplane, the airport itself. There's a lot of artificial fluorescent lighting, LED lighting, and things like that. And sometimes you can be there for quite some time, depending on how long you have to be there before your flight. So we're blocking all of that blue light, protecting the circadian rhythms with the yellow lenses. I will also say as well, if you like to listen to podcasts or watch movies or do anything like that while you're on the airplane, I want you to think about the exposure that you're having on the airplane with all of the Wi-Fi going on, with all the devices around you. You're basically in a silver tube, which is a microwave. So not to scare you, but just so that we can implement some of these practices to help mitigate what's actually happening to us. So if you can ahead of time, don't use the airplane Wi-Fi. You want to download your episodes or download your movies and watch it off of your phone ahead of time. That is not requiring any live feed of the phone. As well, if you're charging your phone on the airplane, we never want to be holding the device if it's actively holding a charge, because you're giving yourself all that access to that non-native EMF. So download, save. If you are going to use a device on the airplane, it just helps mitigate a little bit of that exposure. All right. The other thing is we want to protect the nose where we're breathing, because this is kind of our center point for taking in germs and all that sort of thing. And that can be a little bit more of an issue when you're on an airplane sharing air with everyone in the cabin. So, or even if you're on a train, I keep referring to plane, but you know what I mean. So I always travel with a little eyedropper of sesame oil, and you can just kind of drop 1 or 2 drops on the small finger, and then you're just going to kind of rub the inside of your nose, take a couple sniffs, sniff that up so that the airway is being coated with this oil. That's going to protect you from taking in any germs from the outside as you are breathing in all of that air. So it works very well as far as preventing things like cough, cold. You can also coat the inside of the ear canal a little bit as well with this oil, and that will also ground vata. So those are 2 very important Ayurvedic practices that I utilize for travel. So as soon as we arrive at our destination, you want to kind of get outside and take those blue blockers off. Sky gaze for as long as you can. We want the eyes to recognize where we are in time and space and where that angle of the sun is in the earth of where you have arrived. If we're changing time zones, this is even more important. So then on top of that, once you're outside, I'd like you to ground. If it's a beautiful warm spot and you can slip your shoes off and find a patch of grass, get those feet on the ground. If that is not possible or it feels uncomfortable doing that, then just go find a plant and you can just kind of touch the leaf or hold the branch, and, without causing too much attention where you may feel strange, you could just, oh, look at this beautiful tropical plant or whatever it is. And I am that person at the airport that will go outside, take my shoes off, stand in the grass and just hold a tree until basically my family is ready with the rental car. But you really want to ground. If you can't do that, wait until you get to your destination as far as hotel or wherever you're staying, and then you have a little bit more privacy. But grounding is super important. So that'll lead us into the next morning. You want to be up for sunrise wherever you are. So again, we're getting that circadian rhythm online, and the body knows where it is in time and space so that all your biorhythms can get on track for the time that you're going to be there. We have a home in Western Canada as well. There's a 3-hour time difference, and I go back and forth almost once a month. I utilize these practices and I have zero jet lag because I am literally allowing my body to adjust to where I am in space with all of these different practices. The body is very intelligent. We just have to give it the right signaling. If I was following the same patterns of, let's say, the time zone that I came from, of course, it's going to be challenging to wake up and go to sleep in the new space because the body still thinks that it's, in your prior place. So supporting yourself with all of these tools will help equip you very well as far as a safe, kind of energized trip without going back in time, as far as trying to catch up with the time zone, or also feeling tired or jet lag, or even just the exhaustion from travel alone due to all that vata aggravation. So lastly, I'm just going to throw in there, I don't like to focus a lot about food, but your first meal in your new destination the next day, just make sure that it is very rich in protein. Again, we want all of those biological systems to come online and realize that cortisol can relax. Our stress hormone does not need to be going haywire. We're giving it a nice protein-rich breakfast. We've looked at the sun, we've grounded, all is well in our world, and you will have a beautiful time away. So I hope those tips help you. If you're interested in going deeper at all in any of these practices, I'll put a link down below and you can book a free 15-minute discovery call with me to see if this work would resonate with you. And otherwise, be sure to subscribe so you get your next free video next Friday. And until then, we'll see you next time.